All right, I'm here with Daniel, who is fresh. Well, not quite fresh. Back from Selhurst Park yesterday.
Perhaps I'm always fresh.
Always fresh, yeah.
This T-shirt is only 78 years old, I think. And I may or may not have worn it to pick my daughter up from school half an hour ago. And I was thinking about it as I was walking up. For those of you who are listening, I'm wearing a T-shirt from Kes, which involves the raising of two fingers. And then I was walking to school and I thought, oh, I'm wearing this. And then I thought I definitely read and watched Kes when I was in primary school. So
yeah,
you're right.
I think you're right. It's a classic of people of our age where all saw that. So, yeah, probably the only bright spot of the United v Crystal Palace game was the fans who when Jamie Carragher is calling the fans out, Manchester United as doing a good job. He said the players didn't deserve the reception they got. I don't know.
That's very true.
They did not, but neither did the manager either.
What I would say is I've been going to football for 39 years. So that's quite a long time.
Yeah.
And the standard of farting by someone near me was honestly like nothing I had experienced before. It was like 30 men had shat in my nostrils. And it was so intense that it was the topic of much discussion. And eventually someone says, all right, that one was me. And you think, well, what about the 8 before it? Or we just taking responsibility for that one? The other thing that happened in the crowd during the game, less worthy of praise, I guess, was there was a guy behind me who was shouting homophobic shit. I let it go the first time. And then I thought, why the fuck did I do that? Like, if it said something Jewish, I wouldn't have done. As it happens, a close mate of mine was one of the founder members of Rainbow Devils. And I thought, if he was here, I wouldn't have let that go either. So the next time I did, and I wasn't trying not to be confrontational. I was just said, listen, there are a lot of words available to you. So would you mind using one that isn't that?
Yeah.
And he intimated that if I didn't shut up, then we'd have to scuffle. I got in my face. And at that point, it's like, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I was also taking my friend's 13-year-old son. So again, I felt like
don't give him a punch up. Yeah.
If I had have done, I'm like you would. The parents would have said, "Yeah, you did what you had to do."
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was one of those situations where he's standing on his chair shouting it, and no one else said jack shit. And then as he's becoming aggressive and getting in my face, the person next to him says, who I think was a mate of his, says, "You don't want to get banned." And I don't know if it was that or the prospect of a kicking off of me. I mean, I presume it was that.
Sure.
All right, Mr. 6'2". Made him sharp. He did then let it be. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, United's it was a good United end, which I imagine you would expect, because to schlep for that from Manchester, you've got to be someone you're doing it as a matter of course.
Yeah.
To be bothered. When we've seen loads of that game before, where there was nothing to play for at the end of the season. The 4-0 at Everton stands out.
Grim.
Stands out as one. There was a 2-0 at Everton under Moyes as well, which was Moyes' last game. That one I quite enjoyed because I knew that was it. Whereas it doesn't necessarily feel like that here.
It doesn't, but United, since you're bringing it around to Moyes, United are now guaranteed to finish with fewer points than in the Moyes season, which was 13th defeat in the Premier League last night, which says something about just how bad this season has been. And, look, good for you for calling out the homophobe in the crowd and for trekking all the way to the darkest part of Croydon. Did you take public transport? Did you? Yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh, Norwood.
I guess. I don't know if this is why, but I got the tube and the bus to school every day for 7 years. And that felt like I'd done my time. And since then, I've been a drive wherever possible individual, which I guess is probably not environmental. And probably I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, I anywhere that I can drive, I do drive.
Yeah.
Because I guess I always get a seat in my own car.
I'm sure you were glad of it after the game. So I guess we ought to talk about some of the some of the game, which was like, I don't know if that's the most dreadful performance this season or under Erik Ten Hag, but it was but not in the top 5. I mean, because there was absolutely nothing redeeming about this performance.
No, I mean, the last manager, as far as I can recall, who conceded 4 goals at Palace, I mean, he conceded 5, was Franco Farrell.
Yeah, 72.
And he didn't get another game.
No.
There's this great footage, actually, where he walks into the director's box, I think it's even before the game, and Busby totally backs him. Because in those days, obviously, managers often will watch games from the director's box. Yeah. He's got a better view, rather. So that's why Farrell did. And yeah, Busby was having absolutely none of him.
Decision already been made, hadn't it?
Yeah, so he gets fired. But we keep coming back to the same thing with Ten Hag. And we go, this is fucking bollocks. It's totally unacceptable. You're shit. And then you're like, well, you've got what? Your 6th and your 8th choice centre-backs playing, maybe? Evans and Casemiro. One of 2 old men. One of them's not a centre-back.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you've got Wan-Bissaka on the left, which genuinely some of the most mental shit I've ever seen in my life. Wan-Bissaka on the left. What? And Dallo, how can you play good football when that is your back 4? And when your midfield is Mainu, Eriksen, and Mount, who hasn't played for the best part of the year. How can it be good?
No, it can't be. But the same old tactics, same old problems. United banging it long and leaving, and doing a poorly coordinated high press and leaving a big gap in midfield through which the opposition could attack. So yeah, you couldn't get a good performance out of that team. Of course, it's a scratch team and a real mess. And the reasons for that are, well, may well be down to Ten Hag as well, but also some bad luck. So, of course, I just guess it's the manner of it and just how poor some of it was from United and just how inevitable it felt. Not necessarily it was going to be 4-0, but that United were going to lose. I had zero confidence that United were going to pull anything out of this game or any of the other games to follow, really.
Well, that's
the switch is gone. That.
So. We sort of, I mean, if there wasn't a cup final, we sort of need to keep losing to stay out of the conference.
Yeah, well, it's the cup final will determine conference or Europa position as well, because United win the cup final, they go into the Europa, they lose it, there's an extra place in the league for the conference. So 5th place is not going to England, so Spurs or Villa, looking like Spurs, will be 5th, and then 6th will be the Conference League, and 7th, maybe the Conference League if there's an extra place because City win or United. Yeah, anyway, there's a few permutations, but I don't think United are going to get another point this season. Maybe off Brighton because they're dreadful.
I mean, you say that, but Brighton absolutely played Villa off the park yesterday.
They did, yeah,
on Sunday. So it's not, and also like they have most of their players that are there, and I mean. How shit must Amrabat be, man?
He can't even get in this team. Yeah.
In what world could you play Eriksen instead of giving yourself balance?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you've got a bit of a problem with Amrabat and balance because if he's on one side of the scales, you have to have 8 people on the other. But I don't know. I couldn't understand how you could possibly play Eriksen in that situation. And it was, I mean, the first goal was obviously Casemiro behaves like a midfield player.
Yeah.
You can tackle like that when you've got 2 people behind you. I mean, Evans also.
Evans got roasted for the second. Casemiro's out of position. Casemiro got bumped off the ball for the 4th. It wasn't, he didn't chase.
The first one first, though.
Yeah, go.
Good to see the first one. Because what also happens then is Evans backs away. But when was the last time Evans even played a football match?
Yeah, he's been out for a while. He clearly wasn't.
And here we are. And I felt, it wasn't a great finish in that it went in the corner, but it was sort of an into the ground.
Yeah.
I wondered if the keeper might have saved it.
I think, like so many errors in that first goal, that Casemiro diving in, Evans backing off, scared. There was a rumour going around that he hadn't actually passed his fitness test in the morning, but played anyway. No idea if that's true. It looked like it. The scuffer, Onana didn't get close to it. I think he's got a problem, Onana, with his feet. he seems to take a step away, anticipating something.
He loves anticipating.
Honestly, he's like a boxer just standing there while Muhammad Ali dances around him. He just doesn't seem to move. So yeah, definitely a problem there. And then the second goal, I'm trying to remember. The third goal is Malacia, isn't it? And not Malacia. Mitchell.
Elise.
Third goal's Elise. Oh, into the corner. Yeah, the second goal's Mitchell.
So the Elise one, I guess when he hit it, I felt like the keeper should have saved it. Saw it again on the screen, and it reminded me a bit of a goal Thierry Henry scores against United in 2004, where we draw 1-1 that Arsenal set before we knocked them out of the cup, where behind the goal, you're like, that wasn't anything like the corner.
Yeah.
But then you look at the goalkeeper, and it's Roy Carroll. So you assume that, Carolli the clown has managed to not save it, but actually see it again, you think, you saw it late, the pace that was hit, you're not saving that. And I thought that about the third. On the first view, I thought you should have stopped it. Second view, I thought hard to do. But the second goal, what struck me about the second goal wasn't that Evans got roasted by Mateta, because of course he did. He got caught by a faster, stronger player who got the ball on the gallop.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was, we got a player that can do that. When do we ever put him in a situation where that is a possibility? When do we ever get Hojlund one-on-one with a centre-back?
Never. Yeah.
And he's faster and stronger than almost all of them. But we don't understand how to do it. And maybe he doesn't understand how to get himself there either.
Well, it's not how United play under Ten Hag. They play direct football into the corners. And so they don't... I don't know how many touches he had last night. I'm going to guess it's less than 20. In fact, I'm going to live look this up. I'm going to say it's a very small amount of touches. He got 27 touches, 11 accurate passes, right? He just doesn't get the foot. He doesn't get the ball at all. And because United don't play like that, and they want him to be a player who's running into space in behind for crosses that are delivered or low passes into the box. And he never gets that either. So
I was thinking about this during the game, and I was wondering actually if it's not so much that, it's that if you look at players that 10 centre forward before, Haller, Tadic, they're very different players. Like Haller's more of a sort of a pivot player.
Yeah.
And Tadic isn't a centre forward at all. So I guess he's dropping off, and he's also kind of a pivot player. Hojlund can sometimes do that well, but that's not what his outstanding skills are. Outstanding skills are driving with the ball, pacing behind, powerful shooting.
Yeah.
And some scavenging. And he's being expected to play like half the time like Teddy Sheringham.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did see people say he should drop deeper in order to get the ball, and he would get the ball, but I just don't know if dropping deeper and turning and playing other players in, only one, it's not how United play. Two, it'd get in Bruno's zone if he's fit. I don't think he plays to Hojlund's strength either. So, like doing a Harry Kane or a Teddy Sheringham and dropping deep to link play would get him more involved, but it wouldn't bring his strengths out, which are his pace and his direct running. So,
one of the reasons why Harry Kane dropped back is because he doesn't have that pace. I mean, obviously he's also brilliant first touch, brilliant vision, but I think that initially he sort of moved there because he didn't have what Hojlund does. And while we're talking about Hojlund, that red card that wasn't, I didn't get a good view of it at the time. I've seen it since. And this, to me, looks like an unintended consequence of VAR. That if the referee sees that once and he doesn't have VAR to support him, that's a red card. But once he's given not a red card, because I'm not necessarily criticising the officials, it's just sort of human nature. It's much easier not to send someone off there, home player, United, than it is to send them off. So he thinks, well, if it's egregious, then VAR will get involved. I'm not sure why VAR didn't get involved, because it looked fairly egregious, and obviously this is speculation, it's not why we lost. But I'm just looking at it more generally in terms of how the application of VAR, that was a red card. As far, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, like I saw it once in real time, I see it once since. But I just felt like without VAR, that is a red card all day.
Well, there's that incident, and then there's the Hojlund's goal, which was chalked off, which is like the briefest of touches on Dean Henderson. I don't know why you were calling that a foul. It wouldn't be a foul on any other player, would it? So that was a bit weird. Casemiro's goal for offside was definitely offside.
We called that. That was like that was like you could see where they were standing before the ball came in.
Yeah.
They were saying, "What are you doing? You're too far." So that when that actually happened, that was.
It's his last redeeming feature. That's not original thought from me, but his heading, he just needed to be 2 yards offside in order to get to the ball. Casemiro. He got dribbled past 8 times yesterday, which is a Premier League record.
Goodness me.
I know, it's poor guy. Actually, it's got to the point with him that I kind of feel sorry for him. He's obviously not a central defender, but he's obviously someone has turned the switch off somewhere that says you can't run anymore, because he can't. He played 50-something games last season. That was his most ever in his career, and it seems to have had a really big knock-on effect. Not only in, and like, had he played that many games when he was suspended for half the season as well, but managed to. So a lot of minutes in the legs, and he just doesn't seem to be able to hack it anymore, which is a real shame for him.
But I mean, imagine how bad it would have been if we'd have Bruno. Like that wastrel had been playing, it could have been even worse. So it actually showed those of us who think he's good that actually those people who think he's shit been right all along.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Talking of which, Goldbridge blamed air quotes, and he said the words air quotes or inverted quotes, injured players. So he still found a way to blame Bruno and or Marcus Rashford for United's defeat yesterday.
There was a bit just towards the end where I think we're making some kind of substitution, and Elise and Wan-Bissaka are schmoozing together, like speaking with their hands covering their mouths, like they've signed the Official Secrets Act. Just like, the only thing, what are you talking about apart from Wan-Bissaka saying, listen, man, if you come to United, you get to play against me in training every day. I mean, it's one of those kind of like when you get the people to tap each other up on international duty. Actually, you're tapping him up by showing him how enjoyable his life might be.
Anthony was doing something similar after the game as well, like whispering along, and I'm like, I don't normally subscribe to the head in hands, you should be ashamed of yourself sort of thing, but I don't know, it all seemed a bit chummy, didn't it, after getting battered? They just don't care, they're already on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, Palace also is just, I mean, I don't want to take the piss exactly, because I think their Holmesdale ultras are kids doing their best. And so part of me is just like, you're an old man, let them get on with it. And the other part of me is just, there are other television shows available that aren't Soccer AM. It's just...
Does that still exist? I haven't seen it in years.
I don't know, but that the whole vibe in that ground is like people that have grown up.
Yeah.
Grown up watching Soccer AM and think that is how you behave in football. Meanwhile, they're displaying on the scoreboard tweets that people are sending, like, come on, Palace, try hard from Mateus or whatever, all this kind of bullshit. But it is appalling, because I think one of the things I find unusual, and not unusual because I'm used to it, but annoying and difficult to explain about continental football is just the noise is just a constant drone. Like there's a drum and they're just singing the same song over and over again. You'll see it in the Dortmund Paris game tonight, I'm sure. Palace is like that, like no interesting, clever, witty, original songs, just and not much singing either. But when it was, and I realised again, I'm an adult talking about who can clap louder, kind of. The answer is me. Something like quite a few things I learned in primary school is how to clap extremely loudly. But anyway, so it's just, I mean, it's just not an enjoyable atmosphere, I think. Like there's no back and forth. It's just children singing I Know a song that gets on everybody's nose, and this is how it goes, etc.
United then had the full repertoire of songs out, which again was the only enjoyable thing about the game. I mean, it's amazing how Palace have turned things around under Oliver Glasner, isn't it? I mean, they sacked the old man, Roy Hodgson. It looked like they were heading into a relegation battle, and now they're one of the most informed teams in the Premier League. I mean, it's the thing that worried me coming into the game. I was like, they're playing well. They scored 5 the other night, and United are just there for a team that attacks at pace. With Eze and Elise, they really do attack at pace, and Mateta as well. Obviously, I mean, it's hard to tell how quick he is because he's up against Evans and Casemiro. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of talk after the game that United are interested in Elise, unsurprisingly, or a lot of talk before the game too. They might well be interested in Eze as well. Another superb performance from him.
I mean, I didn't even think Eze played that well. I thought like it was just easy for them. I love Eze. I think he's a beautiful footballer. I don't see that we have any use for him.
He would play in the sort of attacking third half spaces type role, right? Mount, Bruno.
Yeah. I'd love to see Eze at United. I don't know if he's quite good enough, but I'd be interested to find out. I'd be interested to find out because like players who can do what he does, like make space, beat people in the middle of the pitch, great. But yeah, we won't be signing him.
Elise would play where Anthony plays. I mean, I'm sure, given that United are going to miss out, probably going to miss out on, definitely missing out on Champions League football and may miss out on European football altogether. But finances are going to be tighter. He apparently has a release clause in the contract of 60 million. They might want to try and negotiate that down, but at least it makes it easy to do as a deal. But do they need another one? Another right winger? I mean, you got to get rid of Anthony somehow, surely, haven't you?
I mean, I think that they do want a winger. I'd say actually the thing about Elise that gives me pause is he's whether you would buy. Let's say you buy a right winger. Whether it's him or not just depends how the manager wants to play.
Yeah.
Because Elise is wanting to cut inside. He might be useful for Hojlund putting balls to the back post, but my sense is that Hojlund probably wants them to the front post. As in, what you get with Elise is you'll get someone who will come inside and might be able to curl headers towards the back post. But I want Hojlund scoring the kind of goals that he scored against Wolves, where you've got someone getting to the byline and crossing it low. I want like those are the kind of goals, front post goals I want from him.
Yeah, and understood. Yeah, I don't know if there's any United player who's going to do that. I mean, Pellistri's not going to stay after the summer. I mean, I'd imagine Ahmed's off as well, and there's a new manager in place. But
I'm not sure why were we trying to sell him? And that's why we kept him because he got injured. Is that what happened with Ahmed?
Oh, he was injured for the first half of the season. Why he didn't go on loan? I don't know. I mean, when he gets like 5 or 10 minutes, I mean, I don't know how many. I can't remember how many minutes he got last night. A few. I mean, the game was gone by that point, wasn't it?
It's funny you talk about how many minutes he got because I said before, you know how we talked about somehow time on the football pitch has been calculated in minutes. The lad I took, we were chatting. He was telling me about his school team. He was saying how on his Sunday school team plays on the wing because wants to play up front. On the Sunday, he plays up front, but the school team has a really good striker, so he plays on the wing to get more minutes.
It's entered the vernacular of football. He got 10, and so did Ethan Wheatley.
I mean, because this was another problem we had is we couldn't change it or get a look at any of the children because sounds weird, but because when you're 4-0 down or whatever it is with 20 to go, you can't chuck your children into that situation because then you're thinking, gosh, what if this isn't 4-0?
Yeah, and it could have been worse. Palace had a number of good chances.
Hit the post.
Yeah. Elise missed another one to make it a hat trick.
Well, Onana did nothing, sort of sat there. And there was one good save he made where he also got the ball around the post, but totally absurd that at the beginning of May, I'm noting this as a rarity. Like a good save where the ball actually goes away from the danger zone. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Andre.
Amrabat came on, maybe his best half hour or something in the United shirt. I mean, he ran around a bit, didn't he?
I hate myself for saying this, but I can't believe we sold Fred.
Yeah.
We would have been
in games like that, yeah.
Not even we would have several more points this season if we'd have kept Fred.
Yeah.
And I was desperate to get rid of Fred. Not because he wasn't sometimes good, but I hated the carelessness.
Yeah.
Like the buggering up of 4-yard passes just absolutely did my nut. But Fred is a better player than Amrabat, and we played £10 million for Amrabat's loan. And what did we get for Fred?
About that. Just over, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was... I don't know how that came about, but whoever brought it about is a penis.
Well, there are several of those, most of whom are no longer in jobs. So there's that. Yeah.
There is one who still is.
Yeah, we should talk about him. Him because there's been a lot of cataclysmic results under Ten Hag.
Is that possible? Can you have a lot of cataclysmic results?
4-0 versus Brighton, 4-0 versus Brentford, 7-0 versus Liverpool, 6-2 versus City, 5-0 versus Liverpool. Dumped out of the Champions League, having lost 4 games, including to teams like Copenhagen, who are bus driver up front or something. Sorry, that's disrespectful. But yeah, a lot of really bad results. And after each one, we come on here and said, hey, maybe is this the end? Can you survive that? and I guess we're going to say the same thing again right now. I think probably United lose the next 3 games as well. And the conversation at the end of the season is going to be slightly different in that it'll be like, how can we possibly keep him? But do you have a different view on that? So
did you know how many shots United have faced this season? The answer is 618. Derby, 07-08, who finished on 11 points, that's a record, faced 629 shots. So
we can beat it.
What do you mean we can? We are going to. We're going to smash it. We got to concede.
Lads, 12 of the table.
12 shots in 3 games to beat that.
100% going to happen
just like,
against Arsenal on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that in a half.
That is quite remarkable. So I was looking at the expected points, which when you start to look over a season is a pretty good barometer of over-under performance. And United should be in the bottom 5 this season on the expected points. And a lot of it's because of the huge spike, especially since January, in the expected goals against and the actual goals against, but especially expected. And so, it's funny, you look at that and actually go, well, how is that we've actually overperformed the data this season? Is it just like one-off player goals? Yeah.
Imagine what it's going to be like when the data catches up with us, like it did with Tottenham and Liverpool.
Yeah, jeez.
So what I was thinking yesterday...
Lads, it could get worse.
Yeah, what I was thinking at the game yesterday is that even though, as I said, we can make so many excuses for Ten Hag, the off-the-field stuff, Greenwood, Sancho, Anthony takeover, those 4 things.
Yeah.
The workload is a consequence of the total shit heap that United is, that, and the injuries. Those are 3 massive things. Obviously, we're blaming him as well for some of the appalling managerial decisions and apparent lack of plans and coaching and unfeasibility of the end plan as well. But even if we didn't have any of that third aspect, it would still sort of feel like he had to go because it feels like it needs something fresh now. It's on its arse. And they let him go and get 3 new players in the summer, let's say. I feel like, do we think the players have got faith in this guy? Like, they haven't exactly turned it in for him. They haven't really stopped trying, mainly.
No, I don't think it's that.
But are they going to turn up for pre-season and think this guy's going to get us going? Or are they going to turn up thinking few better players, but it's still going to be shit? And my sense is
it's definitely the latter. Yeah. So,
and in that situation, unless you can get rid of almost all the dickheads, which feels impossible, then it's very hard to build a case to keep the manager.
I think it's almost impossible. It's 13 defeats in the league. It's 18 overall. I think by the end of the season, it's going to be 20 or 21 or something like that, isn't it? that is, more defeats, fewer points, more goals against since the bloody 70s. It's as bad as it gets for United in our lifetimes, basically. I mean, not quite. We have actually done worse than this.
Much worse, but
yeah. But it's like all of those things, and whatever mitigations you come up with, it doesn't feel enough. But the other thing is, like, you'd get a few games into the new season if he stays, any kind of defeat, and the pressure is immediately on. And unless there's massive wholesale changes in the squad this summer, then the kind of trauma of what has happened this season will be revisited straight away, and the pressure will be on. He's also out of contract in 2025, so you got a lame duck manager with a squad that doesn't believe him, with the trauma of having lost 20-something games in the season before. It's just a recipe for total disaster. Then again, the alternative is Gareth bloody Southgate. So maybe it could get worse.
If it's him, I'm totally keeping Ten Hag. I would take Thomas Tuchel ahead of him.
Yep. Maybe Bayern does everyone a favour and offers Ten Hag a job.
And then we don't even have to pay him off. I mean,
don't even have to pay him off. And it can't be a big payoff. I'm sure he's got the same clause as Moyes and all the others, that they can fire him for a certain amount if United aren't in the Champions League. So let's wait until after the cup final. There's probably an argument at this stage to give it to Ollie to the end of the season and just see if you can get a new manager bounce just for the cup final.
For the cup, as we were getting into the car, there was a couple of the Palace lads who were just like walking back, and they were just pissing themselves. And one of them goes to the other, if they play like that in the cup final, they're going to get absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah.
I don't think they will play like that in the cup final. I think, actually, I'd said before that I thought there'd be enough time for Varane to come back and get injured again. But that doesn't look like there is. It does look like we're going to have Shaw back. Fuck knows what we're going to have at centre-back. But it feels like if it isn't Martinez and Varane, then
it isn't. It might be Harry Maguire hobbling around.
I thought they said Maguire's gone for the season now.
I don't know. They said 3 weeks, so it seemed to be like a maybe on the cup final, but he wouldn't be fit, would he? I don't know the status of Willy Crumpwala, whether he might be available. But look, the bigger thing is not just the personnel. It's if United play open like that, then of course United are going to get destroyed. It's going to have to be a performance where they, and we've said this last year in the cup final, where they play ultra defensively and try and use their fast players to carry the ball. Don't play like that at the moment, though. They play with this big donut and big hole in midfield on the transition, and then playing very direct football, which means City get 80% of the possession and score a ton of goals anyway.
Yeah, well, you're kind of sitting there when they're knocking it about side, and you're going, how many sideways passes are they going to make before they knock it back to another and he whacks it long?
Yeah.
I guess they made a game of it last season in the cup final, sort of. Well, they lost by a goal, and Garnacho had a chance at the end.
Yeah.
So it is, and City probably a little bit worse this season than last. So I think if we had a full first 11 who were fit, then I'd semi fancy us, I think. But I don't have a clue how because there are players that obviously need a rest. How do you rest? You rest Maino and I want to rest Maino and Garnacho, but you have to keep them. You have to keep them sharp. But at the same time, how can you rest them? Because what do you have to put in their stead?
Well, there's nothing. Mainu definitely needs a rest. He does look burnt out. He had to cover a lot of ground last night, which he couldn't do. So, I guess, like, if we don't want City winning the league again, we rest a bunch of players for Arsenal on Sunday and chuck that one.
But that doesn't. That's probably not in mind even, because I bet Bruno could have played last night if he'd had to, and I bet he plays on Sunday.
And then pulls up with an Achilles injury and he's out for the cup final in the summer. Yeah, that would be very typical. He's played like 200 and something games for United. That's the first time he's missed a game through injury. He's a machine, is Bruno. Unlike the rest of them, who are not. So I don't know who's going to be available. It's not going to be a full complement of United players. And in any case, I don't know how you turn it on for one game after like winding the season down so poorly. Yeah, they suddenly going to turn it on Sunday. Like how? There's just no world in which
turn it on Sunday.
No world in which they suddenly become good. And then it's Newcastle straight afterwards, having had a couple of batterings in a row, presumably. Newcastle
are playing well, and are the kind of team that we have no antidote for because they're way too physical for us.
Yeah. So Brighton presumably rests everyone in order to, or maybe if Shaw's back, he gets a few minutes. I'm not sure. He has been training though, hasn't he? So I think it's 2 defeats coming up, Arsenal and Newcastle in a row, and then who knows what happens against Brighton on the final day, but you go into that cup final with absolutely no momentum whatsoever. Doom and gloom, sorry.
And I mean, it would be okay if we were getting to play ourselves, as Chelsea found in 2017, that you can go into a cup final with no momentum, but only if you're playing United, I guess.
Apparently. Well, look, Ten Hag is not getting sacked before the cup final. And Dean Henderson.
Dean Henderson keeping a clean sheet. It's just, hang your heads in shame.
Really should. Well, shall we talk about Sunday a little bit? Because we're not going to be, I'm away for the next few days, up in the mountains with a bunch of school kids. I got volunteers.
That also sounds weird. That sounds like a Scandinavian noir of some sort.
Yeah. I will try to keep them safe.
I mean, Ed was talking about the school trip he's going on, and I feel like if I was on such a thing, I would set new records for levels of intoxication. If I was sent on a school trip where I didn't know the other dads, and all the other ones were like from Seattle.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be giving Roy Carson a call to come and check my pulse. For
dearie me.
Dedication.
I won't be doing that. I will be sober as a judge for this particular trip. But won't be doing a midweek pod or the dailies this week. So let's talk about Arsenal a little bit. I mean, they're going for the title. Presumably we want Arsenal to win the title, despite how annoying and persistent their fans are and how annoying Mikel Arteta is. But better than City winning a 4th in a row.
By many orders of magnitude.
Many orders of magnitude, yeah. So presumably we want to chuck this game on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it will be funny if we beat them. Or even draw with them. So it feels like we could call it win-win, but really it's lose-lose. Yeah.
It is. And what kind of team's going to come out? I mean, it's going to be the same again. He seems reluctant to give Harry Amos a try in left back, even though it was an absolute disaster class from Wan-Bissaka last night. So, why not? He's on the bench last night. He's been on the bench before. Why not?
I agree. I mean, I say I agree. I totally understand why, because if you're sticking a 17-year-old against, is he 17? I think he is, against Michael Olise, it could go extremely wrong. I mean, I'm not saying John Curtis was going to be a world beater. I am saying that rousting he got off Mark Overmars in April 98 probably did affect his career in some way.
Maybe so. Yeah. I mean, he did look very talented when he first played in the first team, didn't he, Curtis, for the first couple of games? I can't remember his debut. Was it against Barnsley? Something like that, anyway.
Did he play in that 7-0 against Barnsley?
Might have done, yeah. I remember thinking he looked really good at right back.
Yeah, they thought he might be a player.
Yeah. I think I see on Twitter now and again, I think he's coaching in the US or something like that.
Have we finally seen the back of Amari Forson, or is he injured?
Good question. I mean, given who's on the bench, obviously Wheatley and Diallo, Oganay, Jackson, Amos, Collier. I mean, a lot of kids on the bench there. Jeez. And not Amari Forson. He's out of contract as well, Amari Forson. So I guess the assumption he will be looking for employment elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's done phenomenally well to have this number of matches for United. Amari Forson, but I mean, I haven't loved. I mean, I don't want to say this. I haven't loved what I've seen of Wheatley. I mean, we're talking about bugger all, so I don't want to go there, but
I don't know. I mean, he's not that mobile, but it's hard to, like, with 10 minutes, right? So won't judge him yet.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, the under 23 side's not been that awesome this season. The under 18s most certainly has won the double. A lot of talent there, but obviously just a bit young to be pushing into the first team frame. Maybe a few of these guys will get a game on Sunday. Who knows? It's not going to be pretty, though.
None of these guys are getting a game on Sunday because he doesn't want to get beaten 74-0. And we're there, so we're going to see our good players step through another game. We're going to lose 3-0 or something, probably. And it's just, like the way that the season's going to end, by the looks of things, it feels like the position will necessarily be untenable because of that.
Yeah.
That it will need something new. And almost, if you can't afford to properly revamp the squad, it will really need some fresh impetus off a fresh manager.
Yeah, all right. We'll leave it there. I agree. I think events will determine that is likely to be true. And also, we got to factor in Barada starts in July. It doesn't look like Ashworth will. They're going to end up in court, basically, to try and get him out of his contract or in arbitration. But it's the thing that overarches all of this is what Ineos's vision is for, or I guess Wilcox, Barada, and Ashworth's vision is for how they want the team to play. The game model and the play style, as people say these days. What did you make, before we leave, what did you make of Ten Hag's interview with Gary Neville?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
Sorry, I got a thing of that one. But tell me about it. I'm sure he
I mean, honestly, I just thought it was kind of a little bit pathetic. A lot of excuses about injuries, a lot of talk about the game model, but no, I mean, he used those terms. Oh, Neville used the term. And play style, but no real details. So very scratching the surface and a lot of excuses. And he's got no charisma at all. He's just doesn't inspire.
Right. And then, like, the tactical bit has to be bang on. And it feels like perhaps it isn't.
It's definitely not bang on. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone. Catch you again at the weekend.
Please.